Welcome to TMI. Stupid tourist in trouble. Hot death. On January 2nd, 2022, a 75-year-old hiker in Hawaii decided to take a late-night field trip. The Volcanoes National Park offered him the perfect location. As an experienced hiker, he knew the dangers of volcanoes and the molten lava. But not to be deterred, he trekked on. Despite a warning sign stating, "Warning, you will die," he continued. He wanted to get a glimpse of the fiery red magma. Reaching the end of his journey, he stood in awe of the glowing molten rock below. The rapture of the moment was apparently short-lived as he fell and was vaporized instantly. His body was never recovered. Geocaching in the wrong place. On June 9, 2018, in the Czech Republic, weather forecasters predicted storms and deluges of rain. However, geocachers were unflinching in their determination to find the geocaching prize in the middle of a large, dark underground tunnel. The day was sunny when they started, so there was no need for concern. The tunnel had an opening at each end, but was extremely long and completely dark further in. A sign at each end warned not to enter if it rains. But no worries, it was a beautiful day. Deep in the ground and far from the ends of the tunnel, they could hear nothing. Once they reached the center, they began searching for their prize. But unbeknownst to them, a deluge was taking place outside. A surge of water poured in from both ends. An enormous wave swept through the tunnel. Two of the searchers were swept out of the pipe and rescued in a river downstream. The other two were not so lucky. One body was recovered, but the second body never was. Gunfight. A husband and wife were traveling in South Africa with a guide on their way to Lesotho. They needed to go through the Sani Pass to get to their destination. They arrived at the Lesotho border checkpoint and found it quiet. Too quiet. Now the checkpoint was between rocky cliffs, so any sound should bounce off its walls. Parked up ahead was an abandoned truck. Its doors were wide open. Then they heard gunfire. The woman dove down into the footwell for protection. Meanwhile, the husband and guide removed their seatbelts and tried to prepare for the worst. The truck's former driver and passengers were trying to run into the bush in an attempt to get away from the checkpoint guards. The driver stumbled and fell to the ground, where one of the guards stood over the driver, pointing his gun at him. The guard motioned the husband and guide over to him in an effort to get some help. He was an off-duty police officer and did not have his handcuffs. While the other two men stood guard, the police officer radioed the incident in. When the coast was clear, the man, woman, and guide looked into the bed of the truck. It was full of what would turn out to be thousands of dollars of drugs. Backup soon arrived, and the couple and guide continued their journey. But mishaps of the day were not finished. They arrived at their hotel only to find it double booked. They spent the night in a goat shed. Hot tub. On June 7, 2016, in Wyoming, while on a graduation vacation in Yellowstone National Park, a 23-year-old man decided he could use a good soak by the stunning Pork Chop Geyser hot spring. However, hot potting, as it's called, is prohibited. The man from Portland believed that having an education gave him the intelligence to know when to disobey a rule. He decided to head up a hill and find the perfect hot pot soaking spot, so he left the boardwalk. In the park, pools of boiling water are hidden by thin mineral crusts that resemble solid earth. However, he steered clear of these hidden dangers and discovered a remote spring. Video shows him slipping and falling into the boiling acidic water while reaching down to check the temperature. Any student of chemistry would understand the characteristics of a turbulent hot acid solution. While rescue workers battled lightning and extremely unstable ground, not able to get to him until the next day. By then, a great deal of him rapidly dissolved. Nothing remained of the body. All that was left of the poor man was his flip-flops and wallet. Balancing act. On February 9, 2020, the phone rang for Police Inspector Campbell Hill at midnight. He was surprised to hear that someone had fallen into a 100-foot sinkhole called a cenote near Australia's Mount Gambier, something that had never occurred before. Immediately, the fire department was called in. A cenote is a natural pit or sinkhole resulting from the collapse of limestone bedrock that exposes groundwater. The cenote was atop the dormant volcano and called the Cave Garden Sinkhole. Lush and with a beautiful waterfall, the area is a sight to behold. While the sinkhole is surrounded by a safety fence, this didn't deter the adventurer, 20-year-old Bradley Streeter. When Hill arrived on Sunday morning before dawn, the rope rescue apparatus was already rigged by the fire department. Searchlights discovered the lifeless body at the bottom. It was determined that Bradley was doing handstands on one of the railings. He lost his balance and fell into the sinkhole. Lost keys. A couple was on vacation near the Sahara Desert. They arrived in a city near the desert and rented a car to explore the sights. Scheduling a camel trip into the desert, they parked their rental at their hotel, locked their clothes and passports in it, and met their guide for the desert trip. A day into the trip, they discovered that their keys were missing. They were now over 8 hours from the nearest city, so they would have a long search for the keys. They were certain the keys must have fallen out of the man's pockets. The man and their tour guide decided to drop off all of the items they brought along at the nearby camp they were scheduled to stop at and retrace their steps in hopes of finding the keys. Their search did not go as expected. Just moments after leaving, the man and guide were caught in a sandstorm. Any hope of finding the keys was futile. The man and guide made it safely back to camp, but with no keys in hand. When they made it back to the hotel, they called the rental company and reported the missing keys. The company sent a tow truck to tow the vehicle back to its point of origin. However, they were charged $250 for the key replacement and tow. Talk about finding a grain of sand in the desert. So, what's the moral of the story? Be careful on vacation and don't do anything stupid. You don't want to end up on the next video. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more.